Okay. Um, Hello, my name is Penelope Nozithelo. I'm a student at African Nazarene University, and I'm pursuing a degree in Environment and Natural Resource Management with a major in Environmental Science. So I'm here today with Clémentine Robert, and we're here as part of the Next Gen Lead, which is a 3-week virtual program which starts in November and is organized by Oikos International, Swissnex Brazil, and enabled by Movitia. And this program generally aims to lay out foundations of worldwide virtual community of students to start a dialogue with responsible leaders and with responsible leadership and sustainability, whilst setting like the ground to practice responsible leadership and competence and finally take ownership of their own education. So we're very grateful for Clementine collaborating with us today. Like we are really happy to have you here. So hello, Clementine. Would you tell us more about yourself? Introduce yourself to us.
Hi, Penelope. Thank you for having me today. Yes, of course. So I'm Clementine Robert, and I'm currently the president of oikos International. I've been doing so for the past 2 years. And my background is in management, let's say, and sustainability. And I'm now living in Switzerland, in the German part of Switzerland. However, I'm French originally.
Okay, thank you so much for introducing yourself.
You're very
Um,
welcome.
so, so according to my understanding today, you want to talk to us about emotions, how they relate to your personal story and also your professional story, how emotions influence both sides of your life and how you should handle them and all. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, of course. So I think it's very important to consider emotions, to understand more emotions if we want to be responsible leaders. So that's why I wanted to share um, this story and bring that in.
Mhm.
I think it's something that we never talk about. In our families, we try to control the emotions. We are told not to cry, not to, be too excited or stuff like this.
Mhm.
At work, we are asked to also not share whatever is happening at home, and we put, barriers everywhere. And at the end, we feel like robots. But we are not
Mhm.
robots; we're human beings, and we have plenty of emotions that we are feeling, and
Mhm.
which have an impact on everything that we're doing at home, and also with our friends and in our professional life as well. So to share a bit more about this, maybe we need to understand what the emotions are, right? And so the emotions, basically, if you look at it, what it means, an emotion is what is driving us. It's what makes us move to action or to inaction. And they are very strong, powerful. We can feel several emotions at once. It can be like a big cocktail, and then you don't necessarily know how to react. But most of the time, we don't notice really. We are not self-aware um, that we are feeling those and how to deal with those. So I think it's very important with for ourselves. That helps us to know ourselves better, but also our with our relationship with others in whatever context, family context, um, friend context, or even at work, right? So if we um, take a very concrete example that everyone has felt, I'm sure, it's for the COVID, right? COVID came this year, 2020, and everyone felt so many things inside uh, because it changed a lot of things around us, and how to react at home, how to react, with your friends, how to react at work.
Mhm.
And most of us have been overwhelmed in this situation, and you can really see with this how it had a cross effect on all the different aspects that you try to put in boxes of your life, right?
Mhm.
So at the beginning, I felt scared a bit. I'm you know, at the head of an international organization. Things are different in each country. It's getting crazy in some countries and not in others. But then it's reversed in those countries that everything was fine. It's getting like a very, very massive issue, and it's getting less in others. So and then so the team is feeling different things at the same time. Is lasting for a long time, but at the beginning we didn't know. So is all those questions: how long it's gonna last, and um, how can I help the others? But at the same time, I feel scared. I feel that I'm not well equipped to face this situation. I feel it's exciting moment as well. It's an exciting moment because a lot of change is happening. But I feel like I don't have enough energy to to go with this pace of change at the same time. So it's so many things
Yeah.
that you're feeling, right? And you, whatever you're feeling at work, then you go back home, you have those feelings with you, and at home it's a different situation. And if you are around elder people, how do you manage this? And you feel like very responsible for them. So it's like so mixed. And I think it's
Yes.
this situation showed us how much emotions are core to anything that we're doing. And it's okay to feel them. We need to feel them. We're human beings, right? The question is, how aware are you of your emotions, and how are you going to use them to move forward and to move on in a responsible way? And I think that is the very important um, learning for people to become responsible leaders. And on
Mhm.
that matter, I think all the competences, if you're self-aware of those things, then it goes with your ethics and your values, right? It's who you are. You're feeling according to who you are. You will feel different things in a situation. And then it has an impact of your relationships with the other stakeholders, definitely, whether at like I said, at home or at work. It has also an impact on how you perceive change and innovation. How are you going to use those emotions to make this change happen, to innovate? And yeah, so it has always an impact on how you comprehend the system also, right? So the emotions, I think it's something very important that is not so much told to us in our education system and also in our, you know, family and work, but it's something key to explore in order to become the responsible leader that we wish to become and that our society really needs. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, thank you so much. Like you've given us so much to think about. I'd never really thought about how emotions not only affect my personal life, but my professional life as well. So thank you for bringing that out so well. Um, so I have a couple of questions for you based on what you just told us. Firstly, um, the part about emotions affecting your professional life. As someone who's in leadership right now, you're the oikos international president. So, which means you interact with people from across the globe, and uh, you say, like in our education system, we really aren't taught how to control or manage our emotional side. So, as the international president, someone who's faced this, and as you said, with COVID-19 and all, you had that worry about everything that was happening in all the countries where Oikos International is involved in. So, as a leader, what would you say to other leaders right now, whether they're leaders in companies or organizations, or even leaders in universities right now, where you guys have chapters? What would you tell them about, like, how to handle their emotions or how to cope with the emotional side of their leadership?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. What would I tell them? Basically, change the perspective of how we think emotions. It's something, as I said, that the emotion is driving us, moving us to action. And
Mhm.
usually in our society we see it differently. We see it something as a wrong, as a preventing us from doing anything, right? But if we are well aware of them, and then each emotion makes us do something different, so we need to be aware of what this emotion is, accept it, and use it as a powerful tool to move on. So I would say make sure there is this space so for themselves to explore this, as well as leaders to explore it, but as well in their companies, in their organizations, to make sure there is this safe space where there is this understanding that we're not robots and that we need this space even more, that now we are all remote. We're in many countries on doing things online because we cannot go to the office, or we
Yeah.
have masks, we have to stay far from each other. So, but we still feel emotions, right? So we need to really create this safe space for people to be able to share them, for people to be able
Mhm.
to see how those emotions can make us, act accordingly. And I think this is the role of the leaders, to really make this space and not say, okay, here we are at work and keep your emotions at home. We don't want to know. And it's not working like this. So let's embrace those, right? And let's make it the space,
Mhm.
so people can really explore and understand this part as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answer. My next question would be, how important do you think it is, or yeah, how important do you think it is for sustainable leaders or leaders who are taking that direction into a sustainable future, sustainable development? How important do you think it is for them to support the emotional side of um, the people they work with? Like they have so many people working under them, or they have so many people that they're working with. How important do you think it is for them to actually like speak about emotions, drive this emotional side of people, and show people how to handle it in a proper way that will work for them instead of like bringing them
Yeah, so it's it can be really difficult to embrace the emotions of others because it's very overwhelming if you're not well equipped. That's why you need to be emotional literate in some ways. But
down.
according to that, it's once you get there, when you have a better understanding of the emotions that you're feeling, and also then emotions in general, you will also understand better how people are acting. It makes sense. You understand why are they acting like this, because you understand more about the emotions, and they had this emotion, etc. So I think in terms of sustainable leadership, it's very important um, uh, to be able to understand the people you're working with. Um, and this the emotion is really helping in that sense. It's also making people feel um, comfortable to share their strengths,
Mm,
their weaknesses, their doubts, anything, so they can grow, because you can help them better if they don't hide things, and they can also feel better at work. There would be a better dynamic within the team, because there would be understanding, there would be empathy, there would be different elements that sometimes can be lacking. So I think in terms of sustainable leadership, putting the emotions out there is actually a key element. It's very needed, and you know, um, it's really sustainable for the people to create that
mm,
supportive environment, right? It's good for them as human beings. It's good for you as a human being as well, because you feel good in the team. And also, it's good
mhm,
if we think about the organization goals or the company goals. It's also very good because people are motivated because they feel understood and they feel listened to. They feel um, that they have this space, and that they are a human being that counts. And each human being can bring different things, and is very valuable. So it's very important by having this understanding of emotions and how these can be beneficial to all of us working in one organization. I think this is what makes it yeah in part of the sustainable leadership. since it's the topic today.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Like, I picked up like some very key things from that, uh, sustainable leaders or people in leadership who are driving the goal of sustainability. It's very important for them to make sure that the people they work with are actually happy in that environment, that they are always motivated, and that they learn how to understand the emotions that everyone else is feeling. Because the way that I'm feeling and the next person is feeling and the whole room is feeling will definitely impact the way we work and how we perceive things and how we perceive certain situations in the workplace. And failure to understand that as a leader will mean the work that you put out and the goals you're driving, the objectives that you want to obtain will literally just fail because of the emotional distress in the workplace.
Yeah, and it's very much connected
Thank
to
you so
also
much for
what
that. Like that was a,
it's very much connected also
oh,
to not
sorry,
only the
go ahead.
workplace, but also what is happening, in your personal life. And everything is really
Mhm.
interconnected. There is no separations. You don't, separate yourself. You're not two people. You're just one. So everything has an
Yeah.
impact on each part. And I think it's also important for in the sustainable leadership to keep that in mind.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I feel like I've been enlightened, and I hope everyone else watching this today is like, whoa, um, that dynamic, the understanding of the two sides, and how even if something happens at work, it will still affect your personal life and vice versa. So, just controlling that whole emotional side of things or understanding the whole emotional concept of what people go through, especially as a leader, it would definitely help um, in you working properly with everyone else. So my last and final question would be, like we've already spoken about how important it is for leaders in the sustainability industry or leaders who are moving towards sustainability, how important it is for them to understand and the emotional side of people, not only in the office, but also their personal life. My question now would be, do you think like we know that there are people out there who still believe, unfortunately, that the emotions should always be bottled up. Do you think in a world where people just bottle up their emotions, they are not addressed, do you think we could ever be sustainable? Uh, or is that just a recipe for disaster? Can we function without actually addressing the emotional side of people?
I think if we want to be really sustainable, it is important to take that into account. But I think people are not because they are scared of their own emotions. So they're not ready for the emotions of others. And that's why you need to do a self-awareness work on yourself, on who you are, why are you acting like this, because how do I react when I feel this or that, etc. So it's a personal journey you have to go through first. It requires effort, it requires work, and it's at the beginning a little bit, as I said, scary because it's something we are not used to do. So it's being an explorer kind of and internally. And then once you've done this, you're able to, move towards embracing the emotions of others and be able to provide this to others. But if you don't do the work on yourself, then it's not it's less likely you would be able to embrace the emotions of others. So I would say that um I don't know if you don't take emotions into consideration, necessarily you go to a situation when everything, you know, crashes. But at least my understanding after these few experiences I had at the local level and then at the international level as well, is that the more you are self-aware of your own emotions, the better you interact with people, the better you will also be able to set your priorities. You will be able to, live the life you really want, and you live it the way you really want.
Mhm.
And at the same time, that has an impact on your professional journey as well, not just your personal journey. And I think then, um, in terms of sustainability, that's at the core, right? It's it's more sustainable for you, it's more sustainable for the people around you. And if you are the head of an organization, then it has an impact on the organization itself. So to answer your question directly, many companies are working and achieving, big, numbers, figures, goals, and they are not necessarily welcoming those emotions. They are not necessarily, open for such behaviors. However, most likely the turnover is high. The people are not super, um, happy or reach their full potential in those companies and things like this. They don't grow. And I think it's very important that they can do that at work as well. And they are encouraged from work to do that at home as well. So that's what I could say about it.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I really like the part where you spoke about how as a leader, uh, the leader personally has to look at their emotions and get a grasp of their emotions and see how their emotions work, how they react to certain situations, so that they can actually understand what everyone else is feeling. So when someone feels like this, they know, okay, I've experienced this before. I've handled this type of emotion with myself. This is the best way to like work with it. Or so that's really key. And the last part where you spoke about how a person's emotion, like even if it's a big company or a big organization, and they really aren't working on the emotional side, the growth of the person working there is limited, whether it's personal or professional growth. Both of them are limited because the emotions are not resolved. And it's funny how, if you think about that, it means even the growth of the company, it doesn't grow as much as it needs. The organization doesn't attain everything that they need to, because the person's emotional side, and like whether it's personal or in the office, they aren't being addressed. So their work is limited, their ethic is limited. So that really brought out like a really cool dimension for me. Thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. If I don't know about how well emotional literate people are while watching this video, but I would really encourage everyone to follow that path, to have a little bit of, this knowledge and start this self-exploring journey. And then from there, everyone will see like how to, what doors they are gonna be open thanks to this new perspective coming in your life, basically. And it opens your eyes and your ears and doors to many new things. So I think it's very important to look at this in more details. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I hope people out there will actually go out and look at uh, the emotional literacy part, like, because it's really important. I think from the conversation that we've had with you, we see now how important it is for us to know or have an understanding of emotional literacy, because it's important for our professional and our personal lives as well. It's not something that we can overlook or just put in a corner and say it doesn't matter. It's something that's really important, and it actually drives us and drives the way we work and relate. Okay, so thank you so much, Clementine, for that. Like, my last request would be for you to recommend material or places where people can go, like to develop their emotional literacy. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, definitely. I got to know about emotional literacy and it opened my eyes really, and it changed how I'm acting and how I'm doing and how I am growing and going to that sustainable leadership path. During a webinar that I had on actually leadership and emotions, and that was done by Dan Newby. It was during the oikos leadership program, and since then I have used this material and I found that extremely useful on a daily basis. So there is one book called The Field Guide to Emotions, a practical orientation to 150 essential emotions. It's kind of a dictionary of emotions. It just gives you the basis But you can interpret the emotions differently as well, just to help you, try to understand better. And then there is another one which explains more about what emotions are, etc., and not just kind of definitions of emotions. It's
Mhm.
called the Unopened Gift, a primer in emotional literacy, and it's
Mhm.
also by Dan Newby and Lucy Nunez. So I think those tools can be really helpful. Also, joining a leadership program can be helpful. And from there, there is plenty to explore. So I wish you all a good exploration journey in your own emotions.
Uh, Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the recommendations that you've given us. I'm sure that we will definitely start looking for the books right now so that we can work on it and look for leadership programs that we can join. Because definitely from our interview today, we understand how important emotional literacy is to us and to sustainable development and leadership as well. So right now, I would definitely like to pass my thanks to Clementine Robert for her time. We know your schedule is busy as the oikos International President, so you taking your time to be with us today and partnering with NextGen um, has been amazing. Talking to you has been amazing. It's been eye-opening and informative. Like, we've taken away a lot from this interview today, and we just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, Penelope. I really enjoyed it as well. And
Oh,
I hope you also move towards this emotional literacy journey.
yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.